So I want to talk a little bit about what I call the obligation of entrepreneurship and why it's an obligation that we in this room all be entrepreneurs. You know, it's a week since Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving is one of those great holidays where it basically revolves around food and around family and not much else. Maybe a football game or two, but that's about it. And it got me to thinking, there's about 7 billion people in the world today, give or take a few hundred million. 50% of that 7 billion live on less than $2.50 a day. 3.5 billion people live on less than $2.50 a day. 80% of the people of the world live on less than $10 a day. That's remarkable, right? The number of children that die every day from poverty in the world is 22,000. And a week ago, I'm sitting down fat and happy and eating this turkey, right? In the United States, there's 46.5 million people who live below the poverty line. So we have a lot to be thankful for. And you know, those of us in this room are fundamentally in the top 1%. And I'm not talking about that political bullshit that happened a little while ago. I'm talking about we're in the top 1% of the world, right? And it's not because of anything we've done. We just got lucky where we were born. We just, you know, the stork dropped us off in a good place. And we were very fortunate. So as being in the top 1%, I think we have an obligation. We have a duty, right, to figure out how to make the world a better place. So that got me thinking about entrepreneurs and taking risk. If you think about it, everything we have in this world is a result of someone taking a risk and willing to try something new. Just think about that. Somebody was willing to try something new. If no one was willing to try something new, we would have all crawled out of the cave this morning, cold, wet, and hungry. Right? So being able and willing to take that risk is our duty and our obligation. Because that's the only way the world will move forward. It's the only way we'll move forward. And the only way we can solve some of the big issues of the world. So we have to be willing to take a risk and to try something new. To be entrepreneurial. Because in my mind, one of the great features of being an entrepreneur is the willingness to take that risk. And maybe that means start a company. But that's not the only way to be entrepreneurial. You can be entrepreneurial in your current job. Willingness to try something new, take a risk. You can be entrepreneurial in your community. Right? So don't think that being entrepreneurial means I got to quit my job, move into my garage, and eat cold beans out of a can. Now that is one path, but it's not the path for everyone. Right? So our willingness to do this is absolutely critical, and it's, I think, our obligation as being in the top 1%. And so then it got me thinking about, well, there's a couple different ways to be entrepreneurial and solve these problems, right? One is, maybe I try to invent a new way that purifies water, right? So I can help provide clean water. And that's sort of a direct kind of connection. And then someone might ask the question, well, what about, you know, these guys who make Zuckerberg, who has all these billions of dollars and stuff, right? Is that a path that helps the world? Well, maybe not directly, but indirectly it does. Because many of those opportunities to help people of the world are very difficult to make money at. And the Zuckerbergs of the world will take their money and start a foundation and fund many of these things. So both paths are important, and both paths are very viable. So it got me thinking about my favorite food, the lobster. Right? So imagine, you know, a couple thousand years ago, you walk out of the cave and you're walking down to the beach, and on your way to the beach, you see a lion, devouring a sheep, and you go, okay, that probably tastes pretty good. Or you see, some other rodent steal an egg from a bird's nest, and you go, okay, they can eat that, I can probably eat that. But just imagine how hungry the person was, the first person who ate a lobster. Right? I mean, it doesn't look like one of those things. But they were willing to take a risk and try something new. Thank you.